do what you are put on this earth to do, period. We are all given a thing that we're good at. We are. And if you think that you don't have anything you're good at, you just haven't figured it out yet. That's all. And if you're doing stuff in your business you don't like doing, the reason you don't like doing it is because you're not good at it.
Tim is one of the most authentic and genuine people I've ever met.
Sincerely believe he's coming from a position of giving, and that means a lot.
You're going to make huge progress.
Welcome everybody to today's Capital Raising Show. I'm your host, Tim Mai, and today I have an amazing mentor and amazing expert when it comes to capital raising here on the line with us, Mr. Matt Faircloth. Matt has been a full-time investor since 2005. He has successfully done many projects, including single-family, office buildings, multifamily. He has completed hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate transactions and controlled thousands of large multifamily real estate. He is a regular contributor and podcast guest on Bigger Pockets, has an active YouTube channel dedicating to educating investors, and is the author of the Amazon bestseller, Raising Private Capital, Building Your Real Estate Empire with Other People's Money. Let's give Matt a big welcome, y'all. Woohoo!
Thanks for having me, Tim. I'm so glad I bumped into you at Best Ever, and I bumped into like half the people that I got to meet a second ago on the Zoom portion of this call. I got to meet or get reconnected to them at Best Ever as well. So just a quick shout out to the Best Ever conferences because it lives up to its name. It's just a great way to network with friends and get reconnected to the players in the industry.
Right. Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a very, very good event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And gratefully, I got to meet you. I got to get connected to you there, and here we are.
Likewise, and thank you so much for being willing to get on this call with us and get on this party.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, Matt, if we can start with, if you share with us a little bit about your business model. I know we all do different things. So what all do you do?
I do a lot. I guess I do. You're like, what do you do? I do whatever it takes. That's really what entrepreneurs do, right? I do whatever it takes to make things move, right? My company, the DeRosa Group, is dedicated to transforming lives through real estate, and we do that through providing unique housing solutions to the workforce of America. And we provide what I call workforce luxury to that asset class. We provide unique investment solutions. We provide unique employment solutions for those that want to carry forward the mission of transforming lives through real estate. And we also teach people how to bring their best ideas and best visions to their own personal real estate business through our education portals.
Very cool. And then your multifamily, do you, like, in terms of the syndication business, do you focus primarily on multifamily?
Yes, but we are, just like anybody else, we're still trying to grow and expand. And I can either, sit with my mallet and try and force the square peg I got into the round hole in front of me. Or we can look for other places for that square peg to go. Right. So we are continuing to look at multifamily. We're still excited about multifamily, but we are looking at other places to place capital because our investors are somewhat agnostic. They just want to be into something that carries forward the vision of our company, that is managed, through vertical integration by DeRosa Group, by a company they like and trust, but also produces a rate of return that helps them reach their financial goals. So the end, right? I mean, am I going to not do multifamily anymore? No, but we are certainly opening our eyes to possibilities.
Gotcha. What are some of? I'm just curious. What are some of the assets types are you looking into?
For those that were at Best Ever, a lot of folks were talking, including call him the mad scientist. That's just a bad name because it sounds like he's crazy, but he's not. And that's Neil Bawa. He's a brilliant man. And he's talking about doing more debt stuff now, and that's what we're looking at as well. about doing debt investments, putting investors into yielding debt vehicles that yield cash flow now versus having to hold your breath and wait for cash flow a year or two from now. Because if you're in a multifamily deal that's cash flowing the day you close on it, likely you're just getting your own money back. Multifamily deals don't, even with its Class A, Class B, Class C, they don't cash flow the first day of ownership because that's just not the way multifamily is structured, with the delta from cap rates to interest rates. So if your investors want to see cash flow anytime soon after closing, there's got to be other vehicles out there. And I think debt is one that produces cash flow. And I think cash flow is a good place to be right now. Less appreciation plays and more cash flow plays. And so that's a good blend. We're also looking at unanchored retail, meaning like think retail that doesn't have like a Whole Foods in the retail strip center, retail that's maybe got a CVS or something a little bit smaller as the anchor. So we are looking actively I got a few deals we're looking at right now today on like that. And believe it or not, these are asset classes you don't hear about very often. That's another one is hotels. And that's something we're looking at. Hotels, again, believe it or not, did well during the last downturn, and anchored branded hotels, like, stuff that's that affiliated with, the big names, Hilton and Marriott, right? Those actually did well during the downturn, and even post COVID have done well. So those are ones that we're looking at, and those typically cash flow day one too. So
Gotcha. That's good. That's good. So share with us your capital raising journey. How did that started? Share with us that.
I just stumbled into it. I mean, Liz and I, we read Rich Dad Poor Dad when we were dating and stuff like that. We're like, that's it. We want to be in real estate. So we tried to landlord our own stuff and do our own deals with our own money and immediate family's money. Just like a lot of investors, we had immediate family come on as our investments. And we were kind of like the mini family office for immediate family members, not managing millions, managing the small amount of money they had and helping them put it to work in real estate as we put our money alongside them to work as well. We scaled to about 100 and some units in Trenton, New Jersey. And my wife was talking to somebody that she went to grad school with at a networking function. I married up. My wife went to Penn, to University of Pennsylvania, for grad school. So she was talking to one of her Penn graduate people and stuff like that at a networking function. I got my husband and I doing some real estate stuff and whatever, talking about things that her and I were doing. And he says the magic words, which are, man, real estate. That sounds so interesting. I wish I could do that too. I just don't have the time. Right. And she just had a little light bulb, and she said, you should talk to my husband. And before I knew it, I'm on a train to go up to meet this guy who's a financial planner in New York City, right? And all I knew is a friend of my wife's from grad school, but not realizing he's also a financial planner in the city. So before I know it, I'm sitting at a diner in Lower Manhattan talking to this guy that she went to grad school with. And before you know it, he said, okay, listen, I explained what we do, how real estate works, how it cash flows, what the tax advantages are. And he just says, okay, I'll give you $50K. You find a deal, I'll put $50K into your deal. And I said, okay, I'll find a deal for $50K, no problem. And so I scrambled and found these two little townhomes that were dilapidated and foreclosed on. This is post 2008 crash. It's like 2010, I think. And with his $50K, that's all it took. We bought these two little dilapidated little townhomes and fixed them up with private loan money. His private equity and private loan, fixed these properties up, refinanced them as a little BRRRR strategy deal. And then he goes and tells a few of his clients about it. And then I tell some of my friends about it, that what we're doing in Trenton. And before you knew it, we had a vehicle. And so that $50K investment, next deal that we did was like 100, and then it scaled up larger and larger. I'm not someone who just jumped right into multifamily after taking a course on how to buy multifamily. We started in small, scrappy single family homes and small multifamilies and scaled up. through residential
Mm.
housing, because my wife and I are primarily residential housing landlords, because we get the concept. We see that's how we can carry forward the mission of transforming lives through real estate in small, and then we carried it larger and larger and larger into larger and larger deals and that. So we just kind of grew into multifamily. And before you know it, we're doing a 10-unit apartment building, then we bought an 18-unit apartment building, then we bought a 49-unit. It just by doing the right thing by investors over and over and over again, getting referrals from them, and then eventually years down the road, it's starting to put some of the journeys and the experiences that we had out on Bigger Pockets and the Bigger Pockets blog. And that's how we levered up from there. But we had brought a lot of our journey to that point of raising capital and everything to the Bigger Pockets conversation well before a lot of the work we had done came to that conversation, once we started working with them.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you publish your book?
That book was published in 2018.
Okay. All right. Not too long ago. That's yeah.
It's still relevant.
Yeah.
It still does well. I mean, it's not, I didn't know if anybody's going to read it. I just knew Bigger Pockets wanted me to write a book after writing on the blogs for them for years and been on the podcast once or twice. And they said, hey, we think you've got a book. We think you got something to say. We like the articles you write for us. And so I just no problem. I'll write a book. And I pitched them on 2 books and they said no. And I pitched them on a 3rd book and they said yes. And that was that one. So that was Raising Private
awesome.
Capital. So I
love it.
Yeah. But I'm glad I did, because there needs to be more conversations about how to go to those in your network and ask them to put their hard-earned money to invest with you and and you're giving them another way to invest outside of Wall Street, and you're helping build your business. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And that book talks a lot about our journey in scaling from small to larger deals, and in the hopes that other people can do the same.
Awesome. So, since you started raising money until now, give us an estimate about how much you think you've raised so far.
It's hard to say, because we've done a lot of it scaled up quickly, but I think that a lot of it's recycled, meaning like we've raised it and then we came back to them and then it came back in and whatnot. And we've done a lot that's gone full cycle. But I think we're well into the $50 to $60 million range of what we've raised on deals. And I can think of a few big chunks of that we've done all at once. Right. So we've, going from a company that owned like a couple little single family homes that our investor did with us. We now control around 150 million total in real estate, totaling about 1,800 units in 3 states.
Very cool. I'm curious, has a Bigger Pocket been a good source of capital for you?
Sure. They don't raise capital for you.
No.
They don't do that, but they are Bigger Pockets. What they are is they are a company that I think is a company. They're a necessary source, because if you look at the real estate education world before Bigger Pockets, it was like, pay me $10,000 and I'll whisper the secret of real estate in your ear. Like there was just everybody just offering lots of 5-figure education services, which are still out there, but there's Bigger Pockets is an alternative to that. Bigger Pockets is a means for people to learn either for free or for a couple $100, right? And so what they give is a way wider community. And if you're willing to just contribute and just teach without really selling much at all, then you can borrow the megaphone that they have. And they've built an enormous megaphone. It's one of the biggest real estate education platforms in the world because of their price point. And that's what's great about it. And they've turned a lot of people towards what we do. So if you're willing to get on there and just and the problem that a lot of people have Bigger Pockets, people don't understand Bigger Pockets, is people want to get on Bigger Pockets and sell, or people want to use Bigger Pockets to build their businesses because they see what folks like, what Brandon Turner's done with it or whatever. But if you look at Brandon, yes, he's done very well, but Brandon has been primarily a giver, number one. A giver of information, to people, a educator of people. And yeah, he's also got a business too, right? And people forget that first part. And people want to get on Bigger Pockets and sell and pitch and everything like that. If you're willing to get on Bigger Pockets and give, period, that's it. Just give information, help people, have conference calls with people, have coffee with people, meet on Bigger Pockets, become a giver. It will give back to you tenfold. And I've done that. I've written many, many, many articles and wrote a book for them in faith that it would help me and that it would help other people. And it has. It's sold like 50 or 60,000 copies.
Very cool.
Yeah. And that's helped me. By me helping other people, Bigger Pockets has helped me too in that. But by no means are they're not like a capital raising source or whatever. Using somebody else's really, really, really big megaphone helps get your message out there too and make people aware of who you are.
Right. No, that's good. So share with us, some of the top marketing strategies that has worked really well for you and your students when, regarding capital raising.
Thank you, Clarence, by the way. I got to give a shout out because Clarence said he likes my book. So I just have to tell him that. Thank you. Number one, I can't say it again. I'll just say it again, Tim, just to make sure we're clear on it. I tell investors this too. And I'm the capital raising leg of our business. I believe there are 4 different initiatives that are required to be successful in any type of real estate business. And I'm the capital raising side. And if you want to know which of the 3 you are, my company's developed a free assessment that folks can take. That'll take you about 5 minutes. I'll drop it here in the chat bar for people to check out, but it's a free, figure out which one you are. Not everybody's great at raising money, but you're great at something, and then we'll help you figure out which one it is. So on the capital raising side, I'm a fan, and you got to filter out the potty mouth, but I am a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about being a giver. He actually, I'm not a boxing so much fan, but he is. So he talks about this concept called jab, jab, right hook. And jab, jab, right hook works like this. And this works for marketing. This has been the marketing strategy that I teach to my students, and we use in our network as well. A jab in boxing is a punch that you throw just to make sure your opponent's there. You're certainly not going to knock anybody out with a jab. All it is I am measuring the distance between me and you, letting you know that I'm still here. And it's just a little tap, right? That's a jab. A right hook that's where you go to air quote, knock them out. Now in marketing, a jab is free information. And Gary Vaynerchuk is a big fan of social media. So it could be, hey, here's a free article. Here's free this. Here's free that. And it's not like free with a hook. Don't be free, but give me your email address. Just give it to them for free. Period. Free. That's it. Here's free data. Not I'll give it to you free unless you sign up for my course or whatever. No, free. Right. And then you start building a following because people see you as someone that's giving stuff away for free, kind of like you're doing right now, Tim. It's free knowledge, right? From yourself, from all the folks you got here joining us today, and giving me an opportunity to borrow your megaphone. That's all jab, right? And then when you have a deal or when somebody else has a deal or whatever, that's when you offer the right hook, or when you've got an experience you want to offer someone that's for a fee or whatever. The right hook is there, but you develop the trust for people with jabs, and you capitalize on that trust that you built with well thought out right hooks. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. And give us some examples of channels that are among your favorite channels to give, like podcasts, social media. Like, what are some of your favorite channels?
Man, I say yes to anybody that'll have me on their podcast. Just about if you can get a hold of me, I'll say yes, and that. So I love going on other people's podcasts. Tim, I tried having my own podcast. It didn't work out too much. I think we had like 10 episodes. If you guys want to listen to me and my buddy, Dr. Iglowitz, talk health and wealth, it's called the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Guys Show. I think it's still out there.
Great name.
Was that? I know. I thought it was a cool name. Tim. I should have the discipline for it, but we talked great conversations, talked health and wealth, talked about the marriage of the two, talked about living fully holistic life. It was great. I just don't have the discipline and the time. God bless you for doing this in that, because I know the amount of time it takes I do now anyway, so I don't have a podcast now. I'm just a guest. I do a YouTube channel. We post about twice a week, give or take. And I post as much educational stuff as I can on Instagram. So, and all of which I try and go the jab, jab, right hook, philosophy.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you do any type of ads, like especially paid ads or anything like that?
We have. I find that it really depends on the channel you do it on, right? So when we've done 506c deals, meaning like I can solicit, sorry, I'm speaking jargon now, right? But like 506c means that you take money from accredited investors only, and you can solicit. So you can put up a billboard if you want, right? So that 506c deals, when we've done them, allowed me to do social media posts. I did Instagram advertising, I did Facebook advertising, I did LinkedIn or whatever. So we found those to yield different results. I found very different performance from different social platforms. In that, so I've done it. It's what I like about it. It's affordable. It's very affordable to get new eyes on what you're offering. What I don't like is it's somewhat shotgun. You're just kind of throwing it out there. If you don't know if it's going to work or not, who knows? And it gets in front of a lot of people, but maybe it yields, who knows? So I'd rather do organic marketing, like funnel marketing, meaning like give it away free. Hey, join my mailing list and I'll give you more stuff for free, and then keep giving away stuff on the mailing list, and eventually offer up something through the email mailing list. So I recommend people use like ClickFunnels or email or initiatives to develop your email list. That's what we've done. But you can do paid marketing as well. And I know people that have done well with it, and we've tried it and it does work. It's just kind of feels like, throwing spaghetti up against the wall sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. And then you mentioned about Neil earlier. He does a lot of LinkedIn marketing. Do you do any prospecting stuff on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere that's like not just content, but actually prospecting?
I don't do, you mean like, hey, Tim, nice to meet you on LinkedIn. Glad we're friends. Would you like to, here's the problem with that. I've not done that. And the problem with it is we've all had those solicitations on LinkedIn. And I've had I had a guy I went to high school with ping me on LinkedIn. Like, hey man, I see what you're up to. This is really cool. Let me, we had a conversation, right? But for that one real ping on LinkedIn, there's like 30 like robots that are pinging you on LinkedIn, and that's the problem with it is a lot of like automated, drips and that kind of stuff. And so LinkedIn is perceived to have a lot of noise and that, so we don't do reach out marketing on LinkedIn. We do paid advertising on LinkedIn with regards to like just, paid ads, like, hey, check this out. Those have done well, actually. And what's done really well is just well thought out written articles on LinkedIn. That's done well too. Just, again, just thought leadership, like, hey, this is what I think where the world's going, just my humble opinion. That's generated followers that have turned into email subscribers that have turned into investors.
Gotcha. Okay. What about targeting groups? I mean, if you're already writing the articles, targeting groups seems to make a lot of sense.
Once you've built a following for anything, like let's just say you got, Tim Maya's amazing Facebook group, because he is, and you should start that, and I'd be a member, right? But let's say you've got that Facebook group, and let's just say for fun, for round numbers, it's got 1,000 members on it, right? You can do what's called a mirrored marketing. And what Facebook will do is they'll say, okay, here's the general profile for people that are fans of the Tim Maya fan club, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and put this in front of everyone that kind of meets the avatar that's in that Tim Maya fan club. We'll go and put your ads in front of them, right? It's called audience mirroring. We like that because I'm magnetizing people to my YouTube, my LinkedIn, all my profiles, and those social channels can find people that are not fans of yours yet, but they believe that the social shows believe, hey, if, Joe Smith is a fan of the Tim Maya fan club, then so will Jane Doe. She should be, because she likes the same stuff that Joe Smith likes. And so we're going to put it in front of her. So we like doing that. I don't do geotag marketing because investors are everywhere, customers are everywhere. So I don't do geographic. I don't even do like much other demographic stuff aside from take my audience and whatever they like, put it in front of people that like that too.
Right. I know you just said you don't target demographics, but I'm just curious in terms of if you look at your clients, the passive investors that invest with you,
Yeah.
who is the typical avatar, would you say?
30% of our investor base are in some form of a medical profession.
Okay.
30% of those that invest with me. I think it's just part of how we put ourselves out there, just part of what we represent and the way we've, and that. But another, say, 25% are investing with some sort of a retirement vehicle with IRAs. We aggressively, believe we can help people with IRAs and that. So we target retirement accounts. I teach a lot of videos on how to invest with retirement accounts and that kind of stuff. And that helps us attract that. So that's the demographic that this is it's not like we're unique in that sense. But I've also got, Tim, I got school teachers and firefighters, and straight up, I got multiple firefighters that, believe it or not, that are investors with us. They're a unique breed, and so I've got everybody, folks that have retired, folks that are just getting going. I got one guy that lives the van life, like literally lives in a van. He's one of my investors and stuff like that. I mean, I got the full spectrum.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And when you're writing your articles and creating your content, like what are some of the top, I don't know if topic is the right word, but categories that you focus in on to attract the passive investors?
You mean like what are some tactics that we use to attract passives?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe that you should attract a passive investor when you have a deal. I think that you should build a community. The capital raiser on the team, we call it the money. I got cool names for all the 4 different initiatives, right? So the name for my division is called the money, right? And so the money person needs to build a community first, and then when a deal shows up, then you capitalize on the money. So the way that we do it is, again, putting out free information and putting out content that people are attracted to first. You attract yourself to you first. People think people invest in the deal. And I think that those that are investors that are a little more transactional might be excited by an IRR. But people like you and me know you give me any deal in the world and I'll, what IRR do you want it to say? It's unfortunate, but most deals are getting, like the folks, those that are underwriting the deals, like, oh, let's see, what should the cap rate be when we sell it? Well, my investors want to see a 15% IRR. So, okay, I'll make rent growth and whatnot. That's how a lot of, deals get on paper made to look great. Right. We know that's all hokey and BS. Right. So we also get investors know that too. And so we put ourselves out there, what our philosophy is and why the markets we invest in are amazing. So a lot of what we put out is going to be why Winston-Salem, North Carolina, or why North Carolina in general is a great place to invest. Not so much that one apartment building deal. Because I think investors care less about the specific deal than people think they do. It's primarily you, the operator, then the market, then the deal.
All right. So you mentioned money as one of the categories, and I'm actually, as I'm interviewing you, I have the test that you mentioned loaded up on here as well. So what are the other 3 profile types?
It's not a test, Tim.
Oh,
it's
quiz,
an assessment. Because you can fail a test. My wife had to tell me that. My wife had to correct me because my wife's she likes this, really loves assessments and stuff like that. And she's like yelled at me. It's like, don't call it a test because you can fail a test. You can't fail an assessment. Assessment just tells you who you are. So there we go. So
there you go.
That's what I stand corrected. So this is an assessment. The superpowers, because I'm a superhero junkie, as you can tell, my little man, my guy here, right? So the superpowers are the hunter, right? That's the one that builds relationships, finds the deal, negotiates the deal, builds the market relationships, finds the market as well, and is in charge of market growth and market data. And then the brain, that's the underwriter, the person that crunches out the business plan, that loves Excel spreadsheets, that loves, analysis and everything like that. They build the business plan. Once the property's brought into the house, then there's the money. That's me, and probably you and a lot of people here, that they are attracting the money and the investors to the deal. There's also, like, sometimes there's question marks around deals, like, well, where are we going to get the earnest money deposit from, or who's going to sponsor the deal, loan sponsorship, or, how is the debt going to be, structured or whatever. The money is the one that figures a lot of that out for the team. If it needs to get figured out, that's who figures that out. And so then there's the implementation, because if you look at it, what you got is a deal, a business plan, a bunch of money. And a lot of times that's not enough. What you really need is someone to implement that plan. And so I call it the hammer, necessarily so, because I got to run around and browbeat people into submission, right? So the hammer is the asset manager, but I like the term hammer better. So that's the person that's driving the project to its real level of profitability, and that. So those are the four.
Gotcha. I'm curious, as you were talking, I wonder if the personality of a passive investor, whether or not they're more dominant in any of those profiles or not. What do you think?
The passive investor?
Yeah.
Passive investors outside of those quadrants. A passive investor needs to make sure that the team that they're working with has those things, that they've got a full operations suite, and that they've got the team in place to carry the vision forward, right? At best, I mean, I've had plenty of passives take our assessment, right? All that means is if they decided they wanted to get active in real estate and multifamily investing, this is where they would fit. But the passive is one that's providing the money to the money person. The money person on the team is there to build relationships, build trust, and build investor relationship, long-term bridges with those investors.
Right.
And that. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Are there any other marketing related strategies that for capital raising that we haven't touched on yet today that you like?
It's what I'll say, Tim, is it's the long game, right? Capital raising, and I think that some capital raisers think that their job is over once their check crosses over to the operations side. Whether you're raising in house or whether you're raising on behalf of others, right? Their job does not end at that point. And I think that if you want to be a real long-term custodian of other people's money, you've got to build good business systems downline to make sure that folks are everything from getting their K1s on time to K1s, what you get when you invest passively. It's a tax form that you turn into your CPA when you own a piece of an LLC, right? Making sure that that's handled properly, making sure that that investors are aware of the day-to-day business ongoings of the asset they're invested in, and that's how you create repeat investors. Because I'd rather see those that raise capital from the same group of people over and over and over and over again, right? A large percentage of the DeRosa Group investors are repeat investors or referral investors, way in the 60-70% range.
Oh, wow.
Join us over and over and over again. And so I think that's not just out of luck. That's because we do them right, and that's because we over communicate and we give them easy access to their data and stuff like that. Anyone of the capital raiser can do that too, but you can't just raise the capital and move on. You've got to look at it as a long-term relationship.
Right. That's good. You mentioned about over communicating. What's what are some of your communication channels that you use to do that? So, like, do you have weekly newsletters? Do you, give us some of that, that process.
I do a monthly newsletter. I don't know. I always worry about, like, I don't email people as often as they email me, like a lot of other marketers out there. I feel like I get emails from some people like every other day, right? We don't do that. We email a well thought out newsletter on a monthly basis. And then we email out investor updates separately for each asset they're in, right? So if they're in that property in Lexington, Kentucky, they're getting a specific email that says, hey, here's your updates, bullet points. Here's a financial statement. And then if they're in the next deal with us, hopefully they are, they get another email that says, hey, here's your updates. Here's a financial statement. Here's a video we took when we were out at the property, right? So monthly communications, quarterly financial statements, and then the newsletter is separate than that. And sometimes if we're offering up something, if we're in the middle of a drive towards a capital raise or towards a whatever, we'll send out more, marketing specific emails to that initiative we're pushing towards.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you ever had a deal that gone bad or had to do a capital call?
I'm sorry, I'm reading your friend Daniel here, who took my assessment. He's surprised but elated a little bit because he says it's the money, but he's really thought he was more operations. We have not had to do a capital call per se. We've had to raise more money for a deal. Like, okay, here's something you can do when you capital raise, right? When you set up a deal, when you set up an operating agreement. Let's say that me and Tim are going to buy an apartment building and we think that we need, I don't know, $4 million from investors, right? Well, you can put more money in your operating agreement that allows you to raise. So we've had, like, for a deal like that, let's just say me and Tim do that deal. We raise the 4 million. And then later down the road, we decide we want to inject more capital into the deal. We can bring more shares to the table that the operating agreement allowed us to sell at some point in the future, right? So we've sold more shares for deals because we write our operating agreement sometimes to be like another million north of what we actually need to close the deal. And we put that extra equity that the operating agreement allows us to have, we put it on the market later if we want to. So I've done that. But I've never done a cash call, but not for nothing, Tim. Like, I'm not afraid to do that. It's just, we're lucky enough when we run, good operations and that, so we haven't had to do it. I've had to invest my own capital into a deal sometimes to keep it going or whatever. And then, and it got to the promised land. And that, I mean, if you've been around long enough, I mean, not everything goes according to plan is what happens, but I'm not afraid to do a capital call, because if I was an investor in a deal, I'd much rather see a capital call than to get a phone call that some investors are getting or will be getting soon that, hey, listen, it just didn't work out. So, sorry, hope you can join us in the next one, whatever it may be. So I'm not afraid to do it if the market yields it or calls for it. And I think we're going to see more of those soon.
Right. Yep, for sure. And so, yeah, with what's going on in the market right now, have you found it to be hard? Like, have you found it harder to raise money right now in this market?
Yeah, but it's only because people are a little more skittish, they're not sure where the world's going. I mean, I've never felt more uncertain about where things are going, because it could it could go here, it could go there,
Right.
and I feel like a lot of investors are kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop or whatever. So, but people still have capital to place. People still have things that are working and they want to put money somewhere. And so I think in the right arrangements, people still have money to go. I mean, the deals that we've done have filled up quickly. Even today. So I don't take it lightly. I still think that investors have really valid concerns about where the world's going, and I don't take those I don't take it lightly in that. So I think that we try and speak into how what we offer can, it be a safe harbor for today's economy, not an economy a year or two ago.
Right. Yep. And yeah, and with you've been through the last market crash, and been through this, this space for a while now. What are the opportunities that you see that's coming up soon? I
am not a Chicken Little investor. Okay. I don't think that the sky's going to fall anytime soon. I'm not I'm not waiting for the market to crash or take a major correction or whatever. I do think cap rates are going to come up a bit, and I think that they need to, for deals to start making sense. We underwrote a deal today. I was with my underwriter looking at an opportunity that he had, that was sent to us. I mean, it was like zero cash flow for the first 3 years of ownership. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
why are we even and this is at the asking price, that the broker had it on the market for. So I don't think I don't think that's certainly not a good investment for us to be looking at. So we're not going to be even offering on that deal. But we do look for things that are interesting, that you can value add over time, and that I can, cash flow sooner than later. That's probably one of my bottom line requirements, is it's got to make some money soon after ownership.
I see. Do you partner with others on deals?
You mean other operators?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, we're fairly vertically integrated as a company, and that I have good friends in the business that I've talked to and strategized with, and I've got folks that we kind of collaborate with, but I don't raise for other people, because I have operations and asset management and the whole thing in house, right? And we even looked at further, really, we've looked at integrating further, like taking property management in house. We've looked at, at that as a goal, because we've got, I think enough units that we could, and a lot of our units are very geographically focused in that. So we have looked at those kinds of things. And those that I know that are really, really successful in the industry tend to not do that. The folks that I know that are really successful in this business are typically vertically integrated. They own more of the stack than less of like, they tend to have operations and even property management in house. The folks that run companies that I'm trying to build my company up to, that's what they do. And so that's what we are gravitating to do too.
I see. Okay. What about, like, do you ever let others go, help you raise for your deal, whether it's co-GP or fund of funds? I
have looked at fund of funds. The thing is, I've only known a few people that have, like, everybody's got a fund, right? But I've known very few funds that have that are successful, and so a lot of people want to do funds. It makes sense. I wish more investors got it, because the fund model, I think, makes a lot of sense to me. But a lot of investors want to know where the sticks and bricks are going to be before they write their check and everything like that. So I get both sides of it. So it's tough to see. I don't know. I don't see very many funds get more than a couple $1 million. I mean, I don't see like $50-60 million funds, aside from a few of them. And that I like the idea of like a debt fund. I think I told you earlier that we're looking at getting into debt. I think a revolving debt fund makes a lot of sense. I think the idea of funds that offer compounding returns makes sense. I think funds that offer the right for people to redeem their shares whenever they want make a lot of sense, because all those things, everything I just said, Tim, syndications can't do. You can't just call up your syndicator and say, hey, I want my money back after a year, or I don't need the returns your syndication is producing for me. I'd like to roll them back and buy more shares. The fund can do all those things, which is why I think a fund model makes sense. But a fund over a bunch of multifamily assets, unless you're one of the juggernauts in the industry, and there's a few that are, I think it's hard to assemble and really hard to scale.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And what are some of your top, one of your favorite tools that you use in the business?
What are the tools that I use?
Yeah.
Oh man, depends on the day, right? Sometimes it's a hammer. Sometimes it's a hammer. I don't know. So let's see. We use a lot of that. Believe it, this sounds so wacky. Yeah, this is not the answer you want to get, Tim, but it's because it's so basic. But basic tools are ones that we use, right? We signed up for Google Suite, right? Is it called Google Suite? Google Workspace?
Yeah,
I think
Workspace
right.
now. Yeah, they changed the name so many times.
I know, right? And it sounds, you're like, man, are you really going to talk about Google? Yes, I am. Because the Google workspace that they offer, I mean, you got Hangout. We have like a company cloud drive, and it took forever to get people to agree to a certain cloud tree thing. No, put it there, not here, man. So I know where to find your file. So once we got everybody onto the right protocol with where to put stuff, and everything, and then Google Docs and Google Sheets and stuff like that. That is a tool that we use at my company on a daily basis, because we're all remote, right? I live in Pennsylvania. My number one partner in crime is Justin, and he lives down in North Carolina. My partner Hervé lives over in Jersey, and I got my underwriter lives out in Minnesota. So we're all over the place. And so because we're a remote company, you need a lot of cloud-based softwares, and Google's the bee's knees, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. Talking about Google. So I recently got on Google's AI Bard. So
That's
anyways,
not
you
ready for
guys.
prime time yet. No.
Yeah, it's
You can
yeah, it's
stick with
doing.
Chat GPT. They got that thing smoked. I mean, Google will figure it out. Don't get me wrong. Google will figure out AI, but they are not there yet with Bard,
Yeah. I was playing around with it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's ChatGPT is definitely better. Are you using ChatGPT right now for
Yes.
like writing
Mhm.
your articles and stuff? Or share with us what are some of the ways you're using it right now?
Don't be using ChatGPT to write articles, guys. Come on, man. Like that. Be authentic. Put your real words out there. But what we are using ChatGPT for is SEO optimization. And so
Uh,
we will take. Here's a little tip, right? Shoot a video. This is what we do. Shoot a video, put it through Otter AI. Okay. Otter AI is just a transcription service, right? Transcribe your video, then take that transcription, put it in Chat GPT, and we say, okay, summarize this again, tighten it up even further. Now summarize this for SEO, for marketing video, and it puts SEO marketing. You could say summarize it a little bit better, or no, put SEO marketing for real estate investing, put SEO marketing for passive investing, and it will then take that. And then I take that little bucket of gold I got right there. I took that and I make that the video description for our YouTube videos and for our Instagram stuff, because Chat GPT knows how to SEO optimize things way better than I do. Before that, SEO optimization was kind of guesswork. Like, well, I think the market wants to see the word real estate investing a lot. And so I'll make real estate investing every third word in
I
this write-up
see.
that I'm doing,
Right.
But ChatGPT knows how to make it legible, but also optimized for SEO. So that's what I like. I like that about ChatGPT as well. But Tim, like, you can do other stuff. Like, okay, I want to take my family on vacation. I go in Chat GPT. I'm like, where's a fun thing I can take a family with a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old on vacation involving an all-inclusive? Boom. Here's 8 options. It's becoming like a googly thing, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that cool? And
Yeah.
one of the ideas it gave me was a good one. I'm like, that's a good idea. I think and I looked into it, and that. So I don't believe in using Chat GPT to write long form things, because if you know enough about what you're reading, you can tell whether Chat GPT wrote something or not. It's just not good enough to replace the human hand yet, nor will be anytime soon. But it will be able to do baseline communication. I was listening to Lex Friedman, and is it Lex or Rex? I forget. Anyway, he was talking about using Chat GPT to write well thought out emails to people. We're not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not using it for that, but I think it's interesting. So I think it'll find its integrations in their world. Oh, and ChatGPT starting to they have a plugin API now.
Yep.
So companies are starting to use their plugin API. So you're going to start interfacing with ChatGPT whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature they launched recently.
Mm-hmm.
What are other cool tools that you use and you like?
What do we use? We use Monday, but Monday is just a scheduling tool and everything like that. I mean, again, because everybody's remote, and you kind of get caught in the noise of email. You need to have a thing that's outside of email. So we use Slack. Like, I'm constantly slacking with my team and stuff like that because we're all remote. So that's a good vehicle to use. I use anything that saves time for me, Tim. Like, I'm in charge of the food in my family, and so I don't want to go and physically buy the food from the store because that takes too much time. So what I do is I go on Instacart. I did an Instacart order today. Instacart is aligning. By the way, Tim, Instacart and Chat GPT are in business now, and so Instacart's going to use Chat GPT to help you recommend, what you might want in your refrigerator. Right? I can't wait for that because so I use things that can save me time.
That's
yeah. So Slack, it gets the conversation outside of the noise of emails and stuff like that, and anything that can save me time personally, because I can apply it to my business and everything like that if I can use that time more wisely.
right. Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned earlier that your investors are asset agnostic.
I think so.
Is that because it's in the way that you train them to be that way, or yeah, or why do you think that is so versus like you have some
Yeah.
syndicators that are very specific on one asset type and they don't really deviate too much out of that.
Well,
What do you think?
I think it's somewhat has to do with it makes operations a lot easier, that if all you do are Class B multifamily or Class A multifamily, right? Then there's going to be certain expectations, right? If you invest in certain vintage class assets, you know how to deal with that. We deal with mainly stuff that was built in the 60s, 70s, or 80s. I know exactly how to deal with that, how to deal with something built in this. It's not like buildings built in the 70s are going to collapse into the ground in the next 15 years. They're still going to be there, and that's in buildings built in the 70s are still going to be housing stock for America for the foreseeable future. We're not going to tear it all down. It's going to be there for a while, right? And so I know how to run 70s vintage properties very, very well because we know what to expect from them. We know how those properties are going to fail over time and how to mitigate for that. So that's why I think you see certain asset class and even certain vintages over and over again from certain operators because they know how to deal with it, right? Investors are agnostic if you can show them that there is an operations plan that's going to bring it to profitability. It's just like that, some investors of ours, trust us to invest in North Carolina for them. They also trust us in Kentucky. They also trust us in Pennsylvania. They trust us in different geographic markets, in that. And so I've seen some span asset classes and everything like that. And we've already tested our market a little bit on people's affinity for other asset classes. And here's the thing, your investors, they see other people too, like they're not committed to you only. I know you hate but they are cheating on you with other operators, right? And so they invest with the self-storage guy down the road, or the woman that's running an operation that invests in hotels. So why not offer some of those things as well? If you can show your investors a good operations plan and a good longevity plan there's no reason why they wouldn't join you.
Right. Yep. What's your big goal? What's your grand vision?
To make the world a better place, Tim. No, that's true. That's no. It's just I want to leave an impact. I want to leave things a little bit better than the way I found it, and fight back on entropy. Which is things falling into disorder. I want to push back on that, and that, and I do want to leave an impact and everything. But my bigger vision is that more and more people on the investor side can enjoy what we do, and I want to give people a way to build their wealth in true alternative ways. A big vision, Tim, is that the tenants that live in my apartment buildings can buy equity in the apartment building too. That they send me a check for $1,000 in rent plus $200 in equity each month. So the apartment building they live in, through which by buying equity long term, they could end up sending a kid to college if they wanted to. Now there's some financial education in there that you've got to create and everything, but I think it's possible. Whatever's possible you want,
Right.
And so I want to be a custodian to help more people reach their financial goals and live a better life through what we do.
Right. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool idea.
It sounds about as airy fairy as it gets, but I can't help but thinking big. So that's me.
Yeah, I love it. To do something like that, do you think like tokenizing kind of blockchain type of technology to do it where your tenants can invest a little bit like that?
I don't think that here we go, Matt sticking his neck out and get myself in trouble with all the Bitcoin people. But I don't think that tokenization or blockchain is the answer to avoid the SEC. Right. There are people out there that are using tokens and saying like, hey, or using NFTs or anything you want to say, right? Like, I'm going to take $1 and I'm going to buy a token. And with that token's going to buy equity. See, that wasn't real. Come on, man. That was dollars. Okay. The SEC is not buying that BS. Okay. And you're not going to hide from the SEC for too long with blockchain, because they can just force you to show your hand. Right. So I don't think that skirting SEC rules on accredited investor accreditations and that kind of stuff is going. I don't think the answer to that is tokenization or blockchain. Tokenization and blockchain have their place, and they may have their place in real estate equity, but it is not by making investments anonymous. You know, the SEC will say, okay, enough's enough. You know, you guys aren't doing that. Tim, you got to show me who your investors are, and you'll have to show your hand. The way to do it, what I just referred to is about tenants buying equity in the building, is through stuff that was instituted through the Jobs Act in 2013. Not chat GPT. You got that in my head now. Regulations. Yeah.
Okay.
Reg
Yeah.
Yeah, Reg CF and things like that, or Reg A Plus are going to become more common, where you can Reg A Plus, best of both worlds. You can solicit and you can take non-accrediteds.
Right. Yeah. And because there's a limit on how many investors you can have in a Reg CF, right?
There's a limit on how many you can have. There's a limit on how many dollars it can be. And there's a lot of red tape because it was created by the government. Thanks, government. And so there's all kinds of maintenance issues you got to do in maintaining your books and maintaining submissions to the third-party crowdfunding portal that you raise the capital through and stuff like that. So it ain't perfect. It's about a mile and a half from, you can't even see perfect from where it's standing. You know, so it's a ways away from that, but at least it's what we got for now.
Right. No, I like it.
I think the answer is Reg A Plus, but Reg A Plus is also crazy expensive. So
yeah. I love that idea for sure.
We did one Reg CF issue, and I agree with my man Chris here. It is a compliance nightmare, and it was like, I don't know. I said never again. We sold shares at $1,000 a piece, $1,000 per share, and it was great until it became a compliance nightmare. So we'll probably do a Reg A Plus next if I can twist my own arm to do it.
That's all. That sounds good. If you were to go back, restart your career, would you do anything differently? Or what would you do differently?
Yeah, that sure is tempting but it's like the mistakes and failures that we had are the best teachers, aren't they? So my inclination is to do things to avoid the screw ups that I made. The one thing that I probably would say that I would have scaled a lot faster and probably still be standing here today would be if I had focused a little bit more, because when I first got going, I was looking at a fix and flip on Tuesday, and then a raw land deal on Wednesday, and then a small apartment building on Thursday, and then chasing a wholesaler around on Friday. And then when Monday came around, I was collecting rent on my rentals, right? So I didn't focus, and I also didn't stick to what I was good at, which is that's what made me develop this assessment. I feel like people should just do what your God-given talents are, right? Do what you are put on this earth to do, period. We are all given a thing that we're good at. We are. And if you think that you don't have anything you're good at, you just haven't figured it out yet. That's all. And if you're doing stuff in your business you don't like doing, the reason you don't like doing it is because you're not good at it, And so I think that the best thing that I would do is I would just stick to what my skills were, and I would outsource everything else. And I would have done that a lot sooner than I did now.
Gotcha. That's good. All right, Matt. You've been super generous with us. How can we, the audience, give back to you? What are you looking for that that the audience can provide?
Two things, brother. Come hang out with me. We're having a retreat in North Carolina. You can come too, Tim. I bet you'd be a lot of fun at this retreat. Come on, man. We're having a retreat in North Carolina for 2 days. Most of the tickets are sold, but we've got a few tickets left, and that is a 2.5 day retreat where people are going to get to tour one of our multifamily assets and then hang out with me for a day in the conference room. And we'll do everything we just did here, but I'm going to do deep dive in other people's businesses and help people figure out where they stand and what their core geniuses are and what their talents are and all that stuff, and help them build teams and build business plans and right? And that's in North Carolina, April 26, 27, 28. And they can sign up for that by going to this link right here, or by going to my website, derosagroup.com/tours. And I've got a few seats left for that. And here's the link there for those that are live with me on Zoom. So there's that link, guys can click on that. And Tim Mai is going to be there. No, I'm kidding. But if I'm lucky,
I actually,
what?
well, I actually have my own event I'm hosting that weekend.
Stop it. This is not a weekend. It's not a weekend.
Well,
It's during the week.
Yeah,
It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, and mine
No.
is from Wednesday to Saturday.
Unacceptable, Tim. Unacceptable. No, you got to tell me when you're doing these things, Tim, so we don't overlap like this. Come on, man. Yeah.
Mine is for a completely different niche. My other business that I, transitioning over to this syndication were. I teach people how to become a real estate coach on the other side of the business, because I used to have my own coaching business that I've sold off, and yeah, so that event is for real estate educators, coaches, course provider, course owners, mastermind.
There's a lot of teaching to do in this business. I mean, there's a lot of, I get that. Okay. Well, I'll forgive you this time, Tim. And next time I have one, I want you to come hang out,
Yeah.
Let's do one together, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So April 26th, 27th, 28th, unless you already signed up for Tim's event, and unless you can't make Tim's event for whatever reason, come hang out with me in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. There's that. And then the link for the superpower is DeRosaGroup.com/superpowers. What was the link? Arturo, the link is, there you go, DeRosaGroup.com, Thrive Cart Insiders Retreat. There it is. I just sent it out to everyone. So there's a link to register for that. And I put the superpower link out as well, so I can drop it one more time for folks to take our superpower assessment, which is DeRosaGroup.com/superpowers.
That's awesome. So that was one. What's your other one? You said two things that the audience.
That's it. They can take the assessment. They can take the assessment. They can join me and they can join us at our retreat in North Carolina. And by the way, the retreat in North Carolina is all expenses paid. So like the price there covers everything: your hotel, your food, your overhead, your fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Your transportation around the sites into the apartment buildings. I guess get yourself to North Carolina. We'll take it from there. So
that's awesome. Yep. And I guess if they want to connect with you, learn from you, where would you like to send them?
Just a website, DeRosaGroup.com. Yeah.
Right.
You can, if you guys do some passive, we do. I mean, again, I'm an active operator, but I also passively invest. So if you guys are doing passive investments too, you can hear what we offer at DeRosaGroup.com, or just learn more about us. And if you guys want to learn about educations that we offer, education options and stuff like that, they can do that at DeRosaGroup.com too.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this part of our interview here. Matt, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Yeah, it's been an honor, and it's been great learning from you.
Anytime you want to have me back, man. You and I have a lot of laughs. So anytime you want to do this again, let me know. I would love to come back and chat. I really appreciate your audience as well. I know a lot of these folks that I'm seeing here on the Zoom, and I really appreciate it, because if you've got these many familiar faces, that means I'm among a lot of really good friends. So thank you for what you do for the communities. So
awesome.